Hey, Ed here from 10,000 Foot View, and I've got another Google Ads quick tip for you today. Just before I jump in, a reminder to please like our content and subscribe to the channel. We post about Google Ads at least once every week. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about how to evaluate your existing pay-per-click agency, and there's essentially 5 different things you should be looking at in doing so. This video is directly from a post that I wrote a while back, so I'm just going to be not going to read through the post, but I'm going to like kind of touch on the high points. I will post a link to the article as well, so if you want to go more in depth, you're able to go and read through that. All right, so the first thing you want to evaluate is transparency. And that means, do you have access to all of your campaigns and the data associated with those, and all the other tools that are used for your account, right? And so that could be Google Analytics, Google Ads account, the ability to see detailed reports, landing page software such as Unbound. So you should have control over all those accounts and access to see everything. If you can't do that, then you got to ask yourself, why not? And you also need to be worried that if you want to move on from your agency, that some of that stuff is not portable, and you may find that you're not able to switch over to another agency and retain your campaigns, that those are basically going to disappear with the agency. So that's something to be very thoughtful about, particularly when you're starting with a new agency, whether or not there's going to be full transparency. All right, number 2, and probably the thing that most people think about, is simply campaign performance. If you're running an online store, then you'll be looking at the return on ad spend combined with the total sales revenue. If you're doing lead generation, you'll probably be mainly concerned with the number of leads you get and at what cost per lead, along with the lead quality. That's a very important element. So don't just think in raw numbers, but if you've been working with an agency maybe for 6 months, maybe the cost per lead has come down, but has the lead quality stayed the same or gotten better? It's an important element that some advertisers don't really think that much about. And mainly here with either one, what you want to be looking for is after 2 to 3 months working with a new agency, have they improved performance? And depending on how well managed your campaigns were beforehand, there may not be a lot of movement, but there should be some movement ideally, unless that was never a goal, in which case, of course, that doesn't matter. Number 3 is reporting. And this goes a little bit back into transparency, but more specifically, are you getting a good amount of detail about your numbers, right? So not just, hey, we generated 50 leads at this cost per lead. You kind of want to know like your cost per click, impression share, things like that. And whoever's preparing your report should be able to speak to those things to some degree. Again, the most important thing is always going to be sales or leads, but there should be some more KPIs in there, some critical ones, right? The other thing that the report needs to include is a summary of the performance, like a write-up, along with an analysis of why performance changed up or down, or why it's been staying the same. And then some summary of the work that was completed in that month, along with a plan for the upcoming month, like, hey, we're going to launch a new campaign, or Google's changing the way a particular feature works, we're going to implement that, or what have you. The other part of reporting is just check-in meetings. It is a good idea to do a monthly, at least, check-in meeting. For mature accounts, if it's a new relationship, then I would suggest, at least in the first couple months, if you're not jumping on a call at least a couple times a month, and a good amount of email correspondence back and forth several times a week, just like doing check-ins and what have you. On an ongoing basis, even for like our long-term clients, we still offer a monthly check-in meeting. Some of them prefer to do quarterly because things are really stable, but it is better to check in more often than not, because there may just be ideas and things that come up that can help with campaign performance. Number 4 is campaign management. This is kind of where the rubber hits the road, and that is that you want agencies to have partner credentials. That just means like they're a Google partner, they're a Microsoft partner, they're a Facebook partner. Actually, it's Meta partner now. Most pay-per-click agencies that are serious about doing pay-per-click will go follow through those steps. It's not really that hard to get a basic partner credential. If they don't have one and they say, oh, well, it's worthless, yeah, question why they haven't put in the minimal effort to get it. There are also like higher level partner credentials with most of the platforms. Like Google has their Premier Partner Program. Microsoft actually has several different levels. And having a higher level, typically it's just really going to be bigger agencies or agencies that specialize more in PPC. So it's definitely not a bad thing if you work with a premier Google partner. But it's not really that much different than a regular partner, to be honest. So that was one part of it. Then obviously the pay-per-click managers should have their certifications for those platforms that they need to renew every year. And then ancillary training, right? So training provided by the agency or recommended by the agency that they do on a regular basis. And that could be third party training that the agency acquires, right? It could be online training or it could be in class or what have you. And then in addition to that, your pay-per-click manager should be spending time just keeping up with trends in the industry, reading search engine land and blogs and things like that, just to stay up to date. Along with campaign management, the agency should have standard operating procedures in place. You should ask specifically about that. And they should have a plan for how frequently they're doing optimization. And this would be really part of the SOP, but it would define, when things are reviewed and updated on a regular basis. Account monitoring is part of that, right? So they should have a mechanism in place where they can spot, major issues, like if you have zero spending suddenly, or if campaigns get disapproved. So, checkpoints, tools like scripts and third-party tools that will notify the pay-per-click manager or somebody else at the agency if something's going sideways. Innovation, so this is just really, using the latest features, again, where it makes sense. So the agency, whoever you deal with at the agency, should be able to communicate to you where and why they're adding a new feature, like why it applies to your campaign. And if they haven't talked about any new features with you for like 6 months, then they're probably falling behind. Along with that's automation, which is obviously a common feature. At my agency, we currently only automate things that are passive, right? So we don't allow AI outside of like Google's bidding algorithm and stuff like that. But like we would never write like a script that automatically starts changing bids and doing things like that. Always passive, and then the pay-per-click manager has the final decision whether or not to implement changes. All right, and then number 5 is customer service. So your key contact person. Ideally, it's somebody that's actually managing your campaigns and not just like customer service rep. It's okay in some situations, but you're typically going to find that, working directly with the pay-per-click manager is going to yield better results, and you're going to be more on top of things. And then responsiveness as part of that, just, when you email a question, how quickly do you get a response? Some agencies will actually have an SLA where they guarantee they're going to respond in 24 or 48 hours or whatever. Usually doing that means that they're slow. And so, most good agencies, if it's an urgent thing, even if it's on the weekend, often they will respond and say, hey, we got your message. We're looking into it. We'll get back to you Monday, or even they may even get back to you during the weekend. So those are my 5 things that you should be looking at, and these can be done on an ongoing basis and should certainly be part of if you're looking at a new agency. But anyway, that's it for today. I hope you found this video useful, and I will see you next time.